Hi, everybody. Once again, I'm Frankie Avalon, and this is my podcast.
And I'm Ryan O'Quinn. Welcome. We are glad you're here.
Yeah, good to be back again, huh?
Good to be back again, and welcome back to you, sir, because you have been on the road. We couldn't do this podcast for a couple weeks because, as you guys know, Frankie is traveling all over the place. But you were telling me about being down south.
I'll tell you something. Traveling is amazing today. I mean, it's not like it used to be. It's crowded airports. There's all cancellations and delays and all that other stuff. And I just experienced with this last trip. I was in Oxford, Alabama.
Okay.
And I played a theater there that was just beautiful. I mean, really, it's an old theater. It was built back in 1921, and the acoustics was magnificent. And
do
I
you
got
have
to say,
a preference when comparing old to new theaters? Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I really like the old ones because I don't know what it was in those days. They just had the sound, the acoustics were just, you don't even need a microphone. I mean, that's the way they built them now. But, things have changed, and I had a great audience there. They were wonderful. The crew was just terrific. But I got to tell you, the ending was not good.
Oh, as you were coming
As
back.
I was leaving, first of all, it was an hour. Oxford was an hour from Birmingham, Alabama. So I was driven to the airport. Yeah. And I got there on time. And as I got there, they say, we're delayed. We're this, we're that. There's thunderstorms in Dallas, Texas. Long story short, I missed my original flight by hours, which meant that I couldn't get onto my connection, which means that finally when I did get out of Birmingham, Alabama, and that was late at night, everything was gone. I had to go out of the terminal of the Dallas airport into a Hyatt Hotel Regency to sleep for 4 or 5 hours, to get up again, to go back to the terminal again. Now, that flight was now delayed to this, that, whatever. So I finally said, you know what? There's a private plane around here. I'm going to get that private plane. I got that private plane and landed in Burbank.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It took me 1 day to get home.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I figured this. My living isn't made by getting on that stage and singing, having a good time. It's traveling. That's what they pay me for.
Exactly.
But, that happens.
Yeah.
But you go along with it. That's all.
I forget which actor it was. It's been credited to a lot of people, but they're, the old adage, and I'm sure somebody said it first once upon a time when they were inevitably, as you set up for movies, as you well know, they're delayed, something happens, they're moving things around. You spend most of your time waiting in the trailer. So they came to whomever it was, some Oscar-winning actor, and they said, we're so sorry. We're very close. We're so sorry. We're almost ready for you. And he said, the acting is for free. You pay me to wait.
Pay me to wait, right. Hurry up and wait. Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Well, listen, speaking of traveling and being on the road and incredible musicians, I am blessed to have another incredible musician with us today. Joining us live all the way from outside of New Orleans, Louisiana, is Mr. Nick Harrison. Audience, you may know him as Mr. Professor 318. Nick Harrison, everybody. Look at that guy.
Hi, Nick.
Gentlemen, what's going on? Frankie, how are you, man?
I'm doing fine. I had a good conversation with you a few weeks ago, but now I'm going to have a longer conversation because you're so interesting. And I love what you do, and I want everybody else on my podcast to see and know what you do.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Ryan, it's good to see you as well. Thank you guys for having me. This is a real honor to be on with you today.
No, man, we are honored to be on with you.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, even though I'm certainly not Gen X, I'm not that old. Obviously, I'm not nearly that old.
You're a youngster.
I wish.
Young
I wish.
kid.
No, the algorithm knows me and my wife very well. So the whole concept of Gen X and the Gen X takedown, which I want to get into, man, you have nailed it. And we were here at the studio one day a few weeks ago, and my wife, who follows you religiously, pulled out an Instagram video of what it is that you do. Frankie and I went into, literally right behind this wall is a screening room. So your face was about 30 feet tall in the screening room, and we just played your Instagram videos over and over and over again. And Frankie in particular was just mesmerized at how and what you do, how you do it.
Well, yeah. And Nick, just let me interject one thing. You're one of a kind. I mean, I have never seen what you do. You are absolutely one of a kind. And I was thrilled to watch you. And I'm sure you're out there on the road now and doing this stuff, right?
Yeah, on the road doing a stand up right now with three other creators. We're doing the Gen X Takeover all over the country. Myself, Slim Sherry, Kelly Mano, the Dad Bod veteran, just having a blast. Getting up on stage, telling jokes, singing songs, having fun. It's just been amazing, man. It's been a great ride.
Let me ask you this, Nick. What kind of venues are you playing? Because I saw just a little video that you did. You got a big crowd there, really joining in with you and having a good time.
We're doing a lot of theaters, performing arts centers, doing some casinos as well. Kind of just doing a variety of venues, depending on who wants us to come in. And it's been great, man. We're looking forward to 2026. We already got a slew of dates all over the country lined up for 2026, and we're still booking shows as we speak. This past year, we've done Atlantic. We were at Caesars in Atlantic City, which was amazing. Fantastic venue, great show. We did the Hard Rock in Cincinnati, which was really cool. Going to we've done Medford, which is right outside of Boston,
Right.
and that was a really cool venue. Kind of rustic. I liked it a lot. It was different from anything we've done so far. We just did one in Charlestown, West Virginia, at a Hollywood Casino, I believe, and we're doing a performing arts center in Charleston. We're doing the Pack on Sunday. And that's going to be our last big show of the year before we have a cruise that we're doing going out of Miami in Fort Lauderdale in November. And in between, I'll be at the Sands in Cancun doing a Gen X retreat that they do at the Sands every year with there's a bunch of bands, Tesla, Taylor Dane, 38 Special. I believe the cast of Better Off Dead is going to be there doing their 40th anniversary reunion. So John Cusack and a couple other folks. It'll be really cool. So yeah, it's been a crazy year, and it's going to end even crazier.
I want a photo of you holding a boombox over your head with Cusack, and then you send it.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. 100% you got it.
As I said, we're huge fans, and you're doing something extremely avant-garde, I would suggest, and interesting. And you're currently taking advantage of modern technology and utilizing some AI pieces and doing what you do. But I want you to walk us through that as we rewind from that, and let's talk about the beginning. You're obviously a talented musician. You're an incredible artist. Let's go all the way back. Now, were you a musician coming up, and how did that all start? Tell us about the childhood, where you're from, and just sort of lead us through the present, because I'm fascinated by how you got to do what you're doing.
Well, I grew up in North Louisiana, Grambling, Louisiana specifically. It's about an hour outside of Shreveport, if you know where that is.
Sure.
And I grew up in the church, sang in the choir. That was kind of what you did as a young Baptist. You got in the choir with your mom and you sang. And that's really where my music background comes from, is singing. I don't play any instruments. I wish I did. I tried to learn the piano as a kid and just it fell through, but the singing is what has always followed with me, and love of music. That's really where it came from. Is my mother and my father were both big, vinyl heads and big music lovers. So I have a tub of vinyl in this room behind me.
I bet there's some Frankie Avalon vinyl back there too.
Hey, what's that? But we, the Barcades, Confunction, like all the OJs, all that stuff is what I really grew up with. So the old soul is where a lot of my music love came from. Now, as I got older, I got into like everything else, the hip hop, the R&B, the rap, the metal, folk music, like all of the things. I love music, man. So this is my way of giving tribute to a lot of musicians that I've always grown up loving, is taking some of the music and reimagining it in another genre. And it's something that I just love to do. It's a lot of fun. And there are a lot of people who enjoy it as well. So, that's a lot where that came from. But my background was in like music and theater, acting from a young age, going to school for theater, and then deciding that I wanted to get in education, which is where the Mr. Professor nickname came from, because I was in radio. and I
And
was
where did you go
working
to?
at
Where'd you go to school? Where was college for you?
well, I did college at Grambling State, which is where
sure.
in a small college at my hometown.
Yep.
You know, they had Eddie Robinson and Doug Williams and all these guys. And that's kind of how I grew up, was in the middle of all this history, and then I wanted to go to school there, so I ended up going to school there and got my degree in theater, then got my MA in theater from Louisiana Tech, and then went back to school to get a degree in education because my passion was in teaching. So I went back to school and started. Well, first I went and taught at Grambling State with my degree for like 7 years after I'd already graduated.
Wow. So you're literally a university professor.
Yeah.
Correct. Like that. I was in radio at the time, and they wanted to give me a nickname, and they were like, "Well, we'll give you the professor because you teach at college." So that's where the nickname came from, and I, just taught for years. I did that. Then I went to elementary school and taught for years. Then I did some administration in junior high. I had a real passion in education. Now I homeschool my kids, so I'm still teaching. But
well, that's great.
This is where all this has come from. The
Nick, what a background! Education was very important to you. Very important to you, obviously. But now you talked about your music too and singing, in church and those kinds of things. But now, how did the comedy come along? Because you do comedy.
Yes, I always wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And even when I was a little kid, I would go back and watch the tapes and record all these guys and just watch it over and over again because it's something that I wanted to do. And one day when I was 11 years old, my school was having a pep rally, and they asked me to get up on stage and do some stand-up because they knew I loved it and it was something I wanted to do. So I get up on stage and I get booed out of the gym. Like, it was they lambasted me, man. Like, it was, and for years I stopped. I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do it. It was something I wanted to do. It was a dream. In 2020, that's when all the social media stuff came around. During the pandemic, I was still teaching at that time, and I was doing an enrichment program while everybody was in lockdown with kids, first responders, people on the front line, like doctors, nurses, who couldn't get their kids to a sitter and didn't want to give them to their grandparents because they were high risk. So we ended up doing enrichment for those kids for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, actually, because it all ended up lasting a lot longer than we thought it was going to last at the beginning. And while I was doing that, one of my coworkers encouraged me to get on TikTok. And at the beginning, I was like, no, it's for kids. I'll get put on the watch list. I'm not going to do this. And she was like, yeah, you need to do it. So I got on and I loved it and started pouring into it. And that's where my creativity, the theater brain really started to push into that. So for everything started to snowball, getting notoriety, 1 million followers, 2 million followers. Then this comedy club out in San Diego, Mic Drop Comedy, reached out and said, hey, we have 2 clubs out here on the coast. Would you like to come and do a show? And I was like, do what show? They said, whatever you want to do. We'll give you 90 and you do whatever you want. So I was like, if I'm going to do a comedy club, I'm going to do comedy. So I started working on my act. I got you. Got a solid 25, 30 and was like, okay, let me go and do this show. And it went well. The 2 shows went well. And a couple of me and my other fellow creators were planning on getting together that year anyway to just get together and make content. I was like, well, why don't we do a comedy show? And everybody's like, we don't do comedy. I was like, but come on, y'all, just come up with something we can do a comedy show. People would want to come and hang out with us. Like, let's do something. And we had other people who were encouraged as well. So we all decided that this is what we wanted to do. So we did a show in Nashville, and it sold out in 24, 72 hours, something like that. Wow.
Now, is this group that you're talking about, is that the Gen X?
The Gen X Takeover, yes. Okay. This was the beginning of it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how did you connect? Because each of you have a profile online. I follow Sherry and I follow them separately. But how did you guys connect? Were they already a presence online as well, and you just happened to know each other? And
they all.
The same age? How'd that happen?
We all have large followings across social media. I want to say by the time we all got together, we all had at least 1 million, if not more, on at least TikTok. We had a big following individually. And Sherry and I were at an award show at the Palms in Vegas. and we were hanging out and talking about we should do something. And we knew Kelly and knew John Dadbot, and we were like, okay, well, let's call them and see if they want to get together and do something. And they were with it. And like I said, we were going to just rent an Airbnb and sit. We all joke and say we were just going to rent an Airbnb, sit around, eat bonbons, and make content. And some of the wives got together and were like, no, people want to see you guys. Y'all should do something. So we decided to do the comedy thing, and it went really well the first time. And then we decided to do another one in Cleveland, and it went well at a piano bar, which was insane. And that one went well. So we were like, okay, well, let's do it some more. So we planned a bunch of dates for this past year, and they went well. And then we did the one in St. Louis, which was probably the picture that you saw with the gigantic crowd behind us.
Right.
It was amazing. Like at the factory in St. Louis, which is a gorgeous venue, very good, top notch. And it was just an experience, man. It was the biggest show that we had ever done, and it was amazing. Around that time, we had gotten together with UAA to handle our booking for a tour. So they started booking a couple of dates for us, and now they've booked a bunch more for next year. So now we're on a full-fledged comedy tour that's filling out venues all over the country. And it's just amazing. And we love every single minute of it. It's a lot of fun.
Well, it's great to hear that you're going to be out there in so many different venues, different areas of this country here. Mm-hmm. And anybody watching, you've got to go see him, because what I watched you do is you're one of a kind. And, of course, going out there now with your buddies and doing a show, comedy, and all the other things that you do. It's very interesting. I think you're going to be so busy, you're going to say, wait, enough is enough. It's going to happen. I tell you.
And for those of you who haven't seen it, I encourage you to, by the time this airs, the video will have been out. But you did a cover of Dee Dee Dinah, heavy metal style, and so we'll point people in the comments section of each of these podcasts. We'll point people to how they can find that. But tell us about that phone call when Heather called you and said, "I'm here with Frankie Avalon."
Oh my gosh! So the email came through first off, where they were like, "Yeah, so Frankie is starting this podcast. Frankie Avalon is starting a podcast, and we'd love to have you on." I said, "Whoa, time out.
You said, first of all, this is a scam. This
hold on, this is not real." Because when you get, they have those scammers that send emails all the time that say, hey, we want you to be on this podcast. We just need access to your Facebook. Yeah. We'll give you $5,000. Blah, blah, blah.
Coming to you from Los Angeles, we promise.
So it's like, no, there's no way that this is real. So I, did my due diligence and did some background checking and all the things. And they were like, no, this is real. Frankie would love to have you on. And I had to pause for a second, because it's like, there are people in Hollywood and people in LA that have these legacies that you grow up watching and seeing them, flourish and all of their great accomplishments and things that they've done. And Frankie is one of those people. So when I was allotted the opportunity to jump on, I was like, just let me know when I need to be there. Like there's no saying no to this. There's no like, nah, I'll put this on the back burner. We can wait on. No. When you get the opportunity to be on with Frankie Avalon, you take that opportunity. So the phone call was even crazier, because she's like, hold on, I got somebody here that wants to talk to you. I was like, okay. And then I hear Frankie get on with those dulcet tones. Hey, Nick, this is Frank. Oh my God. Frank, what's up, man? So nice to talk to you. So it's just, it was crazy getting the phone call, and now it's still surreal. Like I know it's happening, and it's still very just crazy to be sitting here and talking to you one-on-one doing this podcast. And I'm just, again, honored to be here as a guest. I'm very appreciative, man. It's crazy.
Thanks for all those nice things, Nick. I appreciate that. But, I wanted to make sure, because I am starting this podcast, and I'm very interested in doing more and more of it, boy. And I'm so happy to have you as one of our first guests to be able to talk to you and tell everybody on my podcast what you do. And hopefully they'll go see you when you're doing all these venues, too. So thank you, Nick. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thank you.
Podcasting is such a, and Frankie and I have been talking about this along with the team. We have, needless to say, we have a whole team of people here who do what they do well, including Heather and Dawn and Ty and Gabe and Claire and a whole bunch of people, who are behind the scenes. But podcasting is one of those interesting mediums where, it's a lot of you scratch my back. I introduce people, and I'm speaking, for Frankie primarily, but we introduce people to a different artist that they might not normally know, and then the people who are watching that artist will be introduced.
Yeah,
so it's a big you scratch my back sort of circle, and the audiences for both inevitably grow and grow and grow. So it's just a fascinating, fairly new medium that Frankie's excited about, and we've said it before on other podcasts, but Frankie has been asked for years to write a book or 3 or 5 or 10. He could fill up a library just with stories. And for those of you who are fans of this podcast, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I half jokingly say I throw out a noun, and Frankie Avalon has a story about that could last for 10 minutes. But in lieu of writing an autobiography,
well, my response to you, and that's why don't you write a book? This is a book. I mean, I'm telling stories and being upfront and personal of my life. Been so fortunate to be able to do 40 motion pictures and a lot of television and recordings, and having 8 children and raising 8 children and grandchildren. It's a wonderful life. I mean, I can't say anything more about it, but it's just been great. So this is an opportunity for me. I like it.
It's good. Well, let's talk a little bit about Nick, about the as I mentioned before, the process and how it is that you do what you do. Because when we first, for example, showed Frankie, we just sat back there and for half an hour in the theater and just watched your reels one right after the other, and millions and millions of people watching individual videos. But how did you come up with the idea of the marriage of this Venn diagram of, for example, a song that Frankie recorded, at age 19 and put it to heavy metal hair band? What was that idea? Was that all your idea? Was it somebody in your world who said, here's a plan? How'd that happen?
So I, doing a lot of social media, I did a lot of live streaming. I've kind of cut back on it. But a year or so ago, right around this time last year, I was doing one of my lives on TikTok. And I would play music and talk to people and hang out, because that was really, music is a lot of what my social media is about, is the love of music and how music can bring unity and bring people together. And I was just playing music, and somebody was like, hey, you need to play this YouTube video. And it was a video of somebody who had turned Enter Sandman by Metallica into yacht rock.
That's right.
And it was great. And I was like, I need to do a reaction to this. So I stopped the live, immediately recorded the reaction, posted. It was like 11 o'clock p.m. my time, 10 or 11, and posted it. And it absolutely went nuclear on social media. And it got to Metallica and all these other people, and people were just sharing it like, oh my God, this is great. I was like, thank you, I appreciate it, but I didn't create it. It's created by this gentleman on YouTube. But then I got curious. I was like, how did he do that? Mm-hmm. So I did my research and tested out a couple of different engines for generative artificial intelligence, and found out a good formula that is kind of proprietary to make these songs the way that I did. And it was a real reimagining of a lot of like, what it is like taking a lot of heavy metal, hard rock stuff that people request and turning it into like a different genre. So, and I did a couple of songs like Frankie's that I turned like Hey 19 by Steely Dan, made that metal, and people really dug that. Hello by Lionel Richie, and made that into a metal song, and people fell all over it. So I did that, and when the people started clamoring for the yacht rock stuff, I started putting it on my YouTube, and they were like, no, we want to be able to listen to this in our cars. I want to put it on my Alexa. How can you like put it on streaming services? I was like, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if that's even allowed. So I talked to this distributor, DistroKid. They're amazing. And they were like, yeah, it's if you get the mechanical licenses, yes, as long as the artist gets their royalties. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to make sure that the artists were getting their due as well, because that's who the original source material came from, and that's who really deserves it. I'm just making covers and having fun and like doing, making these creations for people to listen to. and just made an album of them and posted it, and the album went up to like top 20 on iTunes
Wow.
within like a week or so. It was incredible. It's insane the way that it went. And then I did like two more. I did another one right after that. Then I did one more this past summer of like yacht rock stuff, and that's all available on my Apple Music and my Spotify. And I stopped. I was done. I wasn't doing any of it, and kept doing my regular content because that wasn't what my bread and butter was. I loved doing it, but it wasn't really the main crux of my socials. So a couple of weeks go by after I released the last Yacht Rock album, and somebody sent me a song by these guys in Brazil that did Back in Black as funk. And I was like, oh my God, this is great. And I was it was the day of a show that I had, the show that we had outside of Boston in Medford. And I was like, I need to make a video to this real quick before I go and do the show. So I ran, there was a huge chess set outside of our hotel right next door. So I walked over to it, set up my camera, started dancing to the song. That blew up. And I was like, I asked him, I was like, how did you do that? That is amazing. And they gave me a couple of tips because I was already doing it with the yacht rock stuff, and they gave me some tips on how to like change it up a little bit. So I started playing around with it in the engine, and it just popped. Like that's right around the time I did the Don't Stop Believing, which blew up, and the How You Remind Me by Nickelback, which also blew up, like back to back. So I was like, okay, we got something here. And people kept requesting and asking and saying, when are you going to do this, do that? Are you going to make this into an album too? And again, it was never the intention. Like it's a lot of fun for me. I love music, and I love hearing it interpreted in different ways because it really brings out how great the lyrics are, because good lyrics can transcend genre. Like who was it? Gosh, I'm blanking on his name, but did a country version of Nirvana in Bloom.
Oh, sure.
And and it was just absolutely dynamite. And I love stuff like that because that reinterpretation shows you how great the artistry was when the song was created in the first place.
The Johnny Cash, cover of Nine Inch Nails. I mean, you remember that?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's really what I'm trying to do with all this stuff. And plus, people love to hear like some of the harder rock, new metal, mid 90s, early 2000s songs reimagined as like 60s smooth soul. And they're like, how do you do that? How do you make that work? How do you turn Limp Bizkit into a smooth soul song? How do you turn System of a Down into a smooth soul song? And it's just really, the lyrics are really what bring it out. And then you add different elements, where you may have a guitar put in a trumpet or a saxophone, and where you may have had this instrument or have the drums played a little bit differently, and really kind of bring out that soul feel and vibe. And that's been the coolest part of all of this, is getting to see how these songs can be reimagined as something a little bit different, and see how people kind of they react to it. Like I did a cover of Fix You by Coldplay as a 60s soul, and it made my wife cry. And that's what music can do. It can evoke those emotions. But it's always funny, and people say it in the comments all the time, that we get soul from a soulless thing. Like the original title of the album that I have out now was Soulless Soul, but I ended up changing it because I'm a big fan of De La Soul, and it's funny. And they did a couple albums called Artificial Intelligence, ARTOFFICIAL Intelligence. So I called this Artificial Soul. And it's only 11 songs of some of the stuff that I've created, but people have really grabbed onto it, and they love it and enjoy it. And it's been, it's been climbing up the iTunes charts, and people are sharing it everywhere. And it's got so many streams on Spotify and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, people enjoy it. People love it. They think it's great. They get to hear these songs in a different interpretation. And as long as they're enjoying it and loving it, then I've done what I need to do, because it's introducing people to music that they may not have listened to before that. You know, I've had fathers and sons. There's a father and son in the Washington State area that called and messaged, and we ended up talking on the phone with them because the dad is an educator, and he was talking about how much his son loves the interpretations because he started getting into like the 90s grunge and new metal stuff, and he loves how it's being reimagined, and they can share that together. And now he's going back and listening to other songs that he hasn't even listened to before because of the stuff that he's hearing from the soul interpretation. So it's always great to hear that kind of stuff, because you want to be able to plant the seed in the younger generation as soon as you possibly can.
That's great. Yeah, I say once again, you're one of a kind. I mean, you know, it's brilliant. I mean, it's so intriguing to me and satisfying to millions of people. They love it.
Yeah, and I would say too, you know, that even though there is an artificial intelligence element to it, it's certainly not soulless, because you had to have the artistry and the musicality background and the knowledge to even think, we need horns here, we need this part here, we need to, I mean, that's human interpretation that had to inform that. So
I've never heard about it, anybody doing anything that what you do. Never.
Yeah, I had a conversation. It's funny you say that, Ryan. I had a conversation with my wife, I want to say yesterday or the day before, where I was like, yeah, people think that all I'm doing is like taking the lyrics, pushing a button, and popping these songs out, and it's way more than that. Even before you get to the engine, there's things that you need to do before, like to kind of get it to where you want it to be, and then you put it through. Then you like feed all that stuff, like figure all that stuff out, and then you prompt the heck out of it, and then you listen to it over and over again. We may have done, what was it? We were working on yesterday. I wanted her to listen to a couple of different versions that I made of the one that I just put out. It wasn't Silver Chair Tomorrow. That one was good though. The one that I just did last night, and I just put it out. Gosh darn it, I'm gonna kick myself because
put it in the comments.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I'm scatterbrained like that sometimes. But wait, it's Oasis Champagne Supernova. That's what it was. Yeah. And so we posted that. I posted that last night and put it on the socials, and it's just but they don't understand how many versions I had to do, because there's something missing. It's like I make one, it's like, oh no, I need this, I need that. We need a break here. What if we put this here? What if we put this there? And just turn it into like something that everybody could love and enjoy. And that's what I try to do. That's why I try not to oversaturate and put out a bunch of stuff, because, you know, there are some of these guys who are putting out like 5, 6 songs, videos, whatever a day, and it doesn't sound passable. It doesn't sound great, but it's like they're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. So you may have a couple of strands that fall off, but then you figure out whether or not it's done, whether or not it's ready, whether it's something that you can put out there. And I don't want to put anything out that doesn't sound right, because it's disrespectful to the artist. So I try to make it as good as I possibly can, but I always like to make sure that people know that I do not believe that this can ever replace human artistry. Like human artistry, actual people making the songs. It's funny. I get comments on my videos sometimes where people are like, I prefer the original. I reply and say, I do too.
So
like,
that's why I love it.
Like, what are you talking about? Of course, I do. That's why I did what I did, because I love the original so much. Yeah. Like before I made the cover of Champagne Supernova, I listened to the original like 5 times in a row. Not because I needed the inspiration for what I was doing, but because I love the freaking song, and it's just so great. And that's part of what I love about what I do, is that I get to revisit these songs that I love so much, and it reminds me why I love them. So it's cool process. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. And it's a labor of love for me, because I want to make sure that people understand how much I love the music and how much respect I want to pay for it by doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, very well said, and you're exactly right. And the fact that you're, giving back to with the mechanical license agreement, you're also honoring and compensating the original artist.
Right.
It's not like
that really is
stealing.
very important
You're
and nice and great.
Introducing,
and
to
that's
a whole new
always
audience.
it's always a big question for people, is that are the artists getting paid? With YouTube, and you guys know this because you guys have YouTube channels and know how YouTube works. Whenever I post the videos with the songs on it, they do revenue sharing. Right. So the original artist, the label, they get paid, and whenever we put the songs out on streaming, then the mechanical licenses are gotten through Harry Fox Agency, so that we can make sure that the artists are getting their due there as well. The songwriters are credited on every track. We want to make sure that they are given the respect that they are owed, and I'm glad that there are a lot of musicians that see that and share it, and they appreciate it as well. Bon Jovi shared the cover of Bad Medicine. Rob Thomas shared the cover of 3 a.m. By Matchbox 20 that I did. Tool just shared a video. Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit, and they like the Nookie version that I did. I sent it to Fred because Fred is a buddy of mine. He's come into my lives before, and we talk off and on. So I sent him the cover first, and he loved it. Like, he thought it was great. So it's cool when the artists like it as well. And there are other people who are in music who listen to it and they're like, man, I love it. Like, I don't want to like because but I love what you're doing. So and that's the one comment I get more commonly than anything else is, I don't want to like what you're doing, but I love what you're doing. So keep doing it.
But you know what, Nick? You know what's really interesting about this whole conversation we're going right now is the fact that you're taking care of the artist, because for years and years and years, the artist wasn't really compensated like they should have been, and that's been a thing that's been brought up in Congress and everything else too, because as an artist, in the days before all this social media and all this stuff, an artist only was compensated on sales. That's it. On radio play, the writer will be compensated, the publisher will be compensated, not the artist. And the reason why they did that, they said, because this has given the artist the advantage of going out and playing around this country in venues or whatever, and that's where they're making their money over that. But the artist never got compensated because of an airplay. If my song Venus or Y or whatever it was being played around this country here, the artist never got compensated. But now, because of social media and what you're doing and streaming and all this other stuff, we are now getting compensated.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
very interesting.
It's great. That's what we wanted. Like, I didn't want to make it seem like I was just doing because it's not about the money at all. Like, it's from social media and touring and doing all the stuff, I've been able to provide for my family and do well enough to where we can have adventures and go on vacations. Like, we just bought my daughter a horse, like, it's like, who's got horse money? Like, seriously, it's so ridiculous. But it's like, because of the social media and all this stuff, I'm able to provide my family and get to all the things that that they wanted and desired, and I'm able to put smiles on my kids' faces. So this is not a thing where I'm trying. I don't have to have this. It's not about that. It's not about views. It's not about clicks. It's not about likes. It's not about getting followers. It's about a love of music and showing how music can transcend generations and bring people together. That's why I have the whole brand of We Rock Together.
Yeah,
because it's about, music unity and bringing people together and music education. So I'm so glad that there are people who see that and who recognize that and appreciate that, and I appreciate them right back, because it's a real labor of love.
That's a perfect segue. I was going to, you wear usually a hat or sometimes a sweatshirt or a T-shirt with that now I would say iconic logo that, oh, look, you're even wearing it now. The We Rock Together. Tell us about that, and also, more importantly, how I can get one and all of these fans can get one. Where do we find that?
So a couple of years ago, I did a video called Sounds Only Gen X Can Hear. And it had this shirt that I love that said all in this together, and it had like different hands with the peace sign that had different colors. And I went looking for the shirt because people were in the comments like, man, I love your shirt. Where can I get one? And I went to try to find it online and couldn't find it anywhere. I bought it in an airport in San Francisco as I was getting ready to head back here because I was visiting San Francisco, going to see a friend of mine, Sausalito. Shout out Sausalito. Sausalito is amazing. I want to buy a yacht. So we're here. I'm looking for the shirt and can't find it. So I was like, well, I'll just make my own. I can't find this, so I'll just make one of my own. And since, I was doing the socials and music was a big part of it, it's like, well, we rock together. Instead of the peace sign, let's do the rock hands, like the DO hands.
Yeah,
and do that. And I had an original distributor who the shirts did so well from at the beginning. After a year, he was like, I can't do this anymore. It's overtaken my house. Like it was really just, he was doing it from his home and pressing the shirts. He was like, it's in every room of my house. I can't do this. So you're going to have to find somebody else. Thankfully, our friends from 26 Shirts up in Buffalo have been amazing. They do all the Bills Mafia merch for the Buffalo Bills fans. And as I'm a Bills fan, that's how I got the connection. Go Bills. And it was just, I was so thankful they were able to, take this on. And we've been able to give back through through our partnership with them, because for like this merch, for example, 10% or a portion of every piece of merch that we sell goes to my local food bank here in Tangipahoa Parish in Louisiana. We have blue shirts that go to Commission Mankind that drill water wells all over the world to bring fresh water to people who desperately need it. We do pink shirts for breast cancer awareness, red shirts for American Heart Association. Mm-hmm. So we're about to start doing other color themes for other charities, because philanthropy is a big part of what we do, and we want to make sure that we're giving back wherever we possibly can. So if any of my socials, the link is in my bio, where you can just click on that and go to buy whatever piece of merch you want. We got stickers, we got hats, all kinds of stuff. We got garden flags. Like it's crazy. So great. So just is whatever. You can go to the website and check all that stuff out. And anybody who does get merch, we greatly appreciate it, because there are some charities and organizations that appreciate your support as well.
That's amazing.
That's great.
Speaking of the website and your socials, I want to end with you telling everybody, in case they don't know and have been under a rock, where they can find you. But is 318 your area code? What is that from? What is 318?
So, like I said, I'm originally from North Louisiana, and that is the area code of North Louisiana, because I started all this stuff while I was still there, and I wanted it to just be Mr. Professor. But Mr. Professor was already taken. Mr. Professor 1, 2, all that was already taken. So when I put in Mr. Professor 318, they were like, okay, this is available. So that ended up being my username. And it's a tribute to where I grew up, where I was raised, and where my heart, a part of my heart still resides, is there in the I-20 corridor there in North Louisiana. So that's part of where my name is. But yeah, all of my socials are Mr. Professor 318, with the exception of YouTube, which is the real Mr. Professor 318, because somebody sat on my name. But yeah, it's the real Mr. Professor 318 on YouTube.
That's what happens when you get horse money, by the way. By the time
on
your way to yacht money,
for real,
people will sit on that.
Like when you get horse money, people are like, yeah, we're gonna sit on this name we're gonna sit on this website. You're gonna wait on it. But yeah, Mr. Professor 318 on all the socials is where you can find me. And I hope you enjoy the content. I hope if you don't have to follow. If you do, we'd love it if you did, because that'd be amazing.
Well, obviously you've got big fans here, a big fan of Frankie Avalon. Yeah. This has been, we could talk the rest of the night for sure. And I'm going to propose that Nick and Frankie Avalon do a live show together somewhere. I said it here first.
That would be nice.
So
I'll do a walk-on at least, to give me a chance to do a walk-on,
I told you people that I plan on being in LA in December for some work that I'm supposed to be doing out there. And if I get a chance to come out to where you guys are, I would love to just go, like we can go somewhere and just set up shop, just surprise people like, hey, this is Frankie Avalon, I'm Nick Harrison. Let's have some fun and just start doing stuff.
When you are out here, not if, but when, that chair right there, we're going to reserve for you. So we'll
here.
do another one of these podcasts, and let's get you guys together in person and, do
and I'll make you some good pasta. I'll make you some good pasta, too.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay.
You've found the way to my heart, Frankie. Oh, my gosh. Right. Yes. Please.
All right, Nick. Thank you so much
for being a part of our podcast.
Today. I appreciate
guys,
it.
Thank you for having me. Friend. God bless, man. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Well, that was amazing, huh?
Oh, yeah.
How fun is that?
I thrilled in watching what he does and now talking with him and seeing how he shares and the creativity and his education and
the heart and the philanthropy as well.
Just terrific. He's a wonderful man. Yeah, good man.
I love that. And I can't wait to have him back on again.
Yep.
Fun stuff. Well, that's going to do it for our show today,
that's
Frankie.
going to do it. And pretty soon we'll be doing another one with all interesting guests from time to time on Frankie Avalon's podcast. But in the meantime, I'll leave you with this little thought that is that if you ever run into someone who isn't wearing a smile, give him yours. And the whole world smiles with you. Bye.